Welcome to Divisive Issues, the foul-mouthed, spoiler-filled comic book podcast where we talk about comic books. I'm Sly.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Darryl.
So we're back to 2099 and the future.
Yeah, we haven't left the future.
We're always in the future.
We're stuck here. We've been teleported here from the past.
Yeah. And just like Doom, I'm gonna take over America and restore it to its glory days.
And just like Doom, he's gonna be the only sane person in the house full of madmen. And I need the show. And he tries talking sense into us why 2099 is not the best thing ever made, and it's all wacky goodness.
Sly, I don't know what you've done to me, but I used to disagree with you on things, and now when you say things, I'm like, no, Sly's right. Everything's awesome.
Yes.
Awesome or awful?
Both. Sly thinks everything is awesome and awful, and I agree.
No, mostly awful.
Things can be awesomely bad. Like it's like there can be a cheese to it, and like a certain amount of
Yeah, Suicide Squad.
Ugh.
no, Suicide Squad's not even fun. Like,
No, it is fun though.
Okay, guys, what are we doing? So
I should remind about Darryl being the same person in the house full of madman. He's a madman.
So
anyway,
we talked about Punisher 2099 last time. So if you
Let's
want
go
some
into
backstory
different-
on this world, go back 2 weeks. But we're now talking about Doom 2099, written by John Francis Moore with art by Patrick Broderick.
Doom like the game?
Yes.
No,
You know,
unfortunately.
when you first said that, I thought that I immediately went to Doom the game, and then I was like, oh, Doctor Doom.
we're going to a Doom the other Doom that Darryl really likes, Doctor Doom.
He didn't go to 8 years of medical school to be called a game.
Well, actually, he renounces the Doctor title in this. He is just called Doom now.
Yeah, his PhD expired.
Yeah.
D stands for Doom.
It's only has a license of 99 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're going to a different corner of the 2099 universe. This one with Doctor Doom as he wakes up in the future for the elevator pitch. And we have very different thoughts about this. But before we get to it, I just want to talk about John Francis Moore, because John Francis Moore is a very interesting writer. And I say he's interesting because he wrote Doom 2099, X-Men 2099, a few X-Men issues, and then he just disappeared off the face of the planet.
Did he do the X Factor stuff in Age of Apocalypse?
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah, he's great.
He's a great writer, but he just disappeared after the 90s for whatever reason. And you
Yeah.
can't find any information on him whatsoever.
Yeah, and like none of his, like barely any of his stuff is ever collected.
Yeah.
And he's someone where I'm like, did he need to go away? I felt like he was a really good voice for comic books. Or I've read so many other writers that are like, whatever, and then you guys are like, they worked on every mainline comic. Where this guy, I looked up the wiki article for him too, because I'm like, I want to read more of his stuff and see what he's done. And it's like, oh, he's done nothing else.
I don't know, maybe he's dead or something, but
Maybe he went to 2099.
that's why. No, he went back to. He came from 2099. He told us about the
Oh,
future.
yeah.
In the future, Punisher's gonna kill people in the streets. Doom's gonna take over America. And he went back to his time and say, well, I hope they use the information to save the future, but we're not. We're stupid.
No, then he
Vote Trump.
stops existing, and then he just disappears.
His style is very, it reminds me like when we talked about like the difference between Stanley and Roy Thomas, where like it's still like wordy and campy, but like Roy Thomas was like very like poetic at times, and I feel like John Francis Moore is still doing over the top 90s like look at these buzzwords in this badass explosion stuff, but it's still, he has this like voice that I really really like.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I
agree. Although some of the buzzwords, like, can I just say that cyber autism should never exist? Like, I really am like, what is this writer doing right now?
Yeah. Well,
I missed that line.
Well, that's
Really?
that's in the whole internet saga, which uses just a ton of like references where I'm like, I don't think you understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Where people are getting like de-resolutioned and they die that way. And
One
it's
thing
like,
to keep in mind, this was written in 1993.
Yeah, early internet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's very much in that niche where like people would go in the internet and run around.
No, not run around. They surfboard through the internet
That's right.
because it's like
All right,
an extreme
we said we're not gonna
sport.
do this, but we're talking about it before we get to
Okay,
it.
so
Let's get to it.
let's get into it. Oh, one thing with Pat Broderick's art, did you guys like it?
It's all right.
It's serviceable.
It's
Yeah,
not
serviceables
that
are pretty good.
It's really
Yeah.
not good.
And I don't. It's not good. I think.
Okay, true.
There
Yeah,
are
it's
some
not.
effects that he used that I like a lot, but like most pages just look 90s pages.
It's not. I meant like it's not good. It's.
I will say
like,
when he gets to the internet
okay.
stuff, it gets a lot better. I like the way he draws some of the cyber stuff.
yeah,
It's kind
I
of
agree.
cool, but I can't like a lot of it just kind of blends together and like the action is not discernible. It's just like these figures are like swirling around, which is I guess maybe the effect they wanted.
I think it's badass, but let's get into
I
it.
like the surreal stuff a lot more than
Alright.
just the like. Here's a bunch of guys. So,
So-
let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys keep saying that. So the story.
Wait, no, hold on. Let's get into it.
We made a bet whether or not we can finish all 9 issues, and I think I'm winning that bet.
All of 99
So
issues.
the story picks up in 2099 about this guy Wire, who's a cyber hacker. He's doing business in Latveria, which is now like this government run, not even government. It's like super corporation run. It's run by this guy like Tiger Wild. Wild spelled W-Y-L-D.
We should maybe
coolest
mention
name.
that for people who don't know if that's the word that much, Doctor Doom is ruler of Latveria. It's like a small country, kind of
It's
like
like
Pennsylvania.
It's supposed to be like some Eastern European monarchy, like maybe Latvia, I guess.
Yeah.
Or something.
All right, and this guy starts getting chased by the guardsmen. They're like the cyber police, and he goes out, and then suddenly he and his muscle buddy Xandra stumble upon Doctor Doom, who just teleports here. And
He's here.
he's shocked, and it's like, whoa, my castle's destroyed. What happened to my country? And then the police show up, and he blows them up. Because as he blows them up, he says, I am Doom.
That's a really cool splash page, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he doesn't remember anything that happened to him, except all he remembers is the pain. And it cuts to Tiger Wild, who's upset.
Tiger Wild, he's like a guy. He's like a guy who looks. He has like stripes over his face. Looks kind of like, and he has yellow armor on, so kind of tigerish. I think one of my beefs with this first 4 issues is that he's one of the most boring 2099 villains. Like, if out of
He
all
looks
the
and acts like somebody made a 10-year-old made a custom Mortal Kombat character.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
even
exactly.
if they did that, if he was at least over the top, like any of the Punisher 2009 villains, or like Fever later on, or the Vargas, he would be cool. But he's pretty mundane. He could be just a guy in the business.
But I
suit.
like that he's not over the top. I like that he's more mundane, that he's this guy who, his backstory is that he used to work for a corporation and then he splintered off from them and he decided to take over Latveria since it was crumbling and falling apart. And he started building up his empire here, and now he's rivaling the mega corporations that own a bunch of other places like Alchemax or Pixel or the.
His role could be filled by any guy with a suit. Like, his character really isn't important at all. Like, he's not really a good arch nemesis for Doom or anything.
Kind of, yeah. He doesn't have a strong personality, but I feel
very
like he
boring.
fills the role of just like this villain that took over this place, like a despot, really well. Kind of.
I think Dev Vargas could have done it better. He's a much cooler villain.
I agree about the Vargas, but just because I will get to that.
Yeah. So he's there in his castle, and what he has 2 buddies there. One of them's Zone, this guy that works for him, and the other one is Fortune, and she's a tarot card reader, and he keeps her around because she entertains him. And he's like, tell me, like, the future. And she's like, oh, I hear there's a like, she flips over a card, and it's like, it's a crisis point coming, and then Doom comes up, and it's like, hey, get out of my castle.
I see doom in your future.
Yep. So then they fight, but Wild overpowers him and turns his own powers against him, his own suit against him, and then he rips open his mask and blasts him in the face. And what was weird is he ripped open the mask, but Doom is young and he's unscarred, which is not who Doom is. So it's like, who is this guy if not Doom?
I think Doom
Doom has always been unscarred. That's always been the joke.
Oh, really?
For a long,
No.
The joke. Yes, it has been since.
Well, okay, I don't know what the status quo is in the early 90s, but at one point Doom, to have a backup plan, he took a kid from like Latveria and like overwrote his entire brain to just be like Doom again, so that he would live on even if he died. So I think this is Kristoff, but it's not really important because he immediately scars him and then he's like, I'm Doom now.
I think there was like a thing. Maybe I'm misremembering it, but like Doom wasn't really burned, and he burned himself even worse by melting the fucking iron mask.
Yeah,
on
he
his
had a
face.
scratch on his face, and he was like, no one can see me with this imperfection, so he wouldn't wait, so he put on the molten mask on, and it fucked up the rest of his face.
I like that. That's very
I like
poetic.
that a lot too, yeah.
I haven't read a lot of Fantastic Four too much or Doctor Doom stuff, but like I found his character pretty like not that interesting because every time it's the same thing. He's just like,
Really?
I am Doom, and he just comes in and like he tries to fight things he can't win, and then they beat his ass. And then his lesson that he learns is like, I gotta be better, Doom. Like,
But I love how pompous and how much of a dick he is. Like, he's just
Yeah.
so great and over the top and theatrical, which I like. I super buy
It's
into.
enjoyable. Okay, it's enjoyable too.
I like it because Doom is like I always say this. Doom is pretty much the classic superhero, the one you usually see in like parodies of
Supervillain.
superheroes. Supervillain. That's my supervillain. Sorry.
Yeah, I was
he's
like,
a classic
where are you going
supervillain.
with this?
The one you see in, like every time they have a parody of supervillain where he's like, I am the great this and I'm going to this. Doom is basically what everyone's ripping off when they're ripping off.
Okay, that's fair.
And especially because he's a dictator and he's a good ruler. Like every time he's shown,
Yep.
like his country's usually pretty like well run. So
Yeah.
he's always like, I'm the greatest. And then you have to question, like, he kind of is though.
Doom's great because he's both like a genius and a necessary evil in the world,
Yeah.
where a lot of people need to come to him for help because he's so smart and he's so crafty.
Yeah.
And I will say, he's such a traditional type. The fact that he's such a traditional type of character makes it interesting to see him in 2099. Contrasted of all these weird 90s 2099 shit
Oh
going
yeah,
on.
that's true. He kind of fits in here because it is over the top, and it's like I'm Doom, bow before me, kind of a thing. And I like that this comic is, since it's primarily about Doom and his gypsy brigade, that he doesn't have like a hero to contrast off of other than just like regular people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I like their struggles with having to accept him being, that he's coming back to rule. Because what happens is his face gets burned, and then Fortune takes him to the tarot card reader because she sees great things in his future, and she brings him back to the gypsy camp where he meets the rest of the people there, including Xandra and Wire, who are the people in the
Also,
very
Fortune was supposed to dispose of Doom after Cyber fucked his face up.
Yeah.
But Fortune betrays Cyber behind his back.
You mean Tiger Wild?
Tiger Wild behind his back, whatever the fuck his dumb name is. Behind his back, and now she's working for Doom while pretending to be working for Tiger.
Yeah.
Yep. And he goes around and meets everyone, and it's like Wire's a hacker that hacks into...
He's a cyber savant. Okay.
He has like Cyclops glasses on.
All the dialogue, it's just so great, and all of his stupid terms. So
And they really all do have like Cyclops glasses. Like everyone, like a lot of people do.
yeah.
Why do you think I like it so much, guys? This is my future.
Doom goes over to a mountain, and he reveals like a jet plane for when he needed to have an escape plan, and he takes it, and they go to a facility in like the Caribbean, I think. And
Yeah,
there inside, Doom's looking for a doctor that's hired by these people here, Pixel, and he needs his face reconstructed. And he wants like, nanotech augments and a better suit and everything.
Yeah, he basically like wants to integrate his brain with his suit.
Yes.
So he could be like
And also
the coolest
give him
dude.
like nanobots in his body that will like heal him and stuff.
Yeah,
and then
he
machines
really
is
he
Medical
wants, like,
Solid.
yeah, it really reminded me of Metal Gear Solid. Where he's like, just upgrade me as a person.
Transhumanism, bro.
Yeah.
One thing I do just want to mention very briefly is gypsy is kind of an outdated term that a lot of people find pretty offensive, but in this book they are extensively called like the Gypsy Brigade and the Gypsy Council, and that's all they're known as. So that's what we're gonna use, because like they don't give us like any country of origin or anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're not like, we don't know that they're Roma.
Yeah, so like
He says there's Zafiro, I guess.
Yeah, so
I guess the Zafiro people.
but I just
But
wanna,
they call
I
themselves
just-
gypsies too. I don't know.
It's
a
especially hard to trace their lineage in like fake Marvel future Eastern
Yeah.
Europe. So
Yeah.
just I apologize if anybody takes offense to that.
So he puts on the new suit, and he says "Long live Doom." And I don't like his new suit because I always liked seeing Doom's eyes to remember that there's a man behind there. That like he's still like a person, and he's not some god. Like he's never been some god, even if he acts like it. He's still a dude. Whereas this just gives him red eyes, which is like, eh.
I will say that later on, when like around the halfway mark, they give him a new costume where the lenses become like see-through, and his cloak becomes red, and his armor becomes bulkier, and that is honestly my definitive Doom costume. Red cape, red see-through eyes.
I
He
think
just
definitely
looks...
the eyes are a big thing.
Yeah.
But I think red is such a better color for Doom in general. Like I know green is like a very 60s Marvel thing.
Yeah, I love his green cloak and the little pointed hood.
But red is such a more logical, like red exudes power. That's why every fucking dictator uses red. It's such a more logical
No, he should be
choice.
purple. He's royalty.
Yeah, all the people use purple in their fucking flags and shit, right down.
Yeah. All right. So Doom uses in issue 2. Doom uses the suit to download info on Tiger Wild, and learns about his history. And as they're flying away, like missiles try Stark missiles try and shoot them down, and Doom like guffaws at this because Tony Stark's a rube.
Don't you mean Stark Fujikawa missiles?
Yes.
It's the future.
Yeah, and a bunch of companies have already merged.
Oh yeah, by the way, this is the same like anti-corporate messaging as in Punch 2099.
Yeah.
Doom wants to make sure the corporations don't take over and fuck over Latveria like they're doing now with Tiger Wild.
Yeah, where he says there was some really good line where it's like they changed out fascism for like corporatism or something like that.
Sly's ultimate fear.
How little did they know in the actual future they are one and the same. There is no trade.
Yeah, that's why I loved reading this, because I'm like, I totally was buying into people rioting against corporations that own them. Speaking of, there's people in Latveria are rioting because they're hungry, their children are dying. They're like, you have a bunch of money, Tiger Wild, please give us stuff. And then Tiger Wild starts using like sonic weapons against them to make them disperse.
We would never do that in our country.
And he's talking about he's making a deal with this guy who's the head of Pixel to transport to him like the Saturn mind resource that explodes and regenerates. And this guy is how would you guys describe him?
A germaphobe.
Is such a germaphobe that his ultimate suit that every other villain and hero has is actually just like he's like wearing saran wrap all over his body.
Yeah.
Like it like suctions his face and he's like, no germs will
He
ever
looks
get
like
to
he
me.
just got picked up from the dry cleaners.
This is Vargas.
He actually is pretty
Yeah, this
great.
is
'cause
Vargas. He's
I
awesome.
really like this suit because it's like he never wants to ever come in contact with germs.
And he makes other people wear it too when they come into contact with him. Saying,
Yeah.
no, you have to wear the suit. You can't touch.
Or he like sprays them down with like this oil that
Yeah, the
keeps
disinfectant.
bacteria. Yeah. He's
And
pretty
his
great.
first thing, like whenever someone confronts him, like when Doom first confronts him later, he's like, "You're so filthy, get away from me."
Yeah, he's like,
And
what are you
Doom's-
doing in here?
And Doom's like, "Do what I say, otherwise I'll touch you."
And DeVargas mentions that the tech from Pixel was stolen since he's the head of it. And meanwhile, Doom is talking to Fortune, and he's talking about like, I swore I'd never let my people be denied haven in Latveria. And,
Oh yeah, Doom is apparently one of these Zephyro gypsies. He says
That's been a thing since like his like second or third appearance.
I didn't know that. So he's like, I'm one of you, and they're like, we don't know you, which I found so weird that like I know it's 100 years in the future, but it's like people forgot about their fucking power armor king. Like that's so weird.
I don't know, because like imagine like you have no history whatsoever about this stuff.
Also,
You're
no one
recorded.
here is like, you're 100% Doom. Like, no one truly believes it.
No, I know, but they didn't even get the reference. Like they didn't understand who he was trying to be.
I mean, these are like uneducated dystopia people.
Yeah, like
I know.
everything's controlled by corporations. You think corporations are going to say, by the way, the guy who was before me was a fucking superpowered dictator that made everything great. And
it
now
doesn't matter if the people want to tell you it. Like those kind of things are just transmitted like naturally over time.
But then eventually, if you hide it long enough, it becomes fading into myth.
Maybe not after 100
May-
years.
I don't know.
I bet a bunch of people couldn't name pre-World War I presidents.
Yeah,
in our
definitely.
country.
There's no way. I think overestimating people so much.
But
Go ask
also,
anyone-
in Phil's defense, our presidents didn't wear power armor. and,
Yeah,
fight
he's
the
like
Princess
pretty
Bride.
iconic.
Yeah, people remember George Washington.
but
Yeah.
they do he wore power armor, but also keep in mind, they live in the future where power armor is kind of quaint. Like, oh, that's cute. You have power. Like, literally, that's what happens. Doom shows up with his power armor, and Cyberwild's like, that's cute, and he beats his ass. Like, it's like he was maybe interesting for the time, but like, it's more like a fun fact. This is the first event of the toilet. Like, this first guy power armor, not like, oh look, this thing. That
But
never
not
happened
everyone
before
walks
happened.
around in power armor, though.
But like everyone in power does, because they're in power armor.
All right,
Alright,
this
it's
is a
fine.
weird point to get caught up.
Yeah.
So I love like the little exchange between Fortune and Doom here, because it really captures like Doom's feelings on everything, because he's saying how that they won't be driven back again, and that they you tell the people that when I rule, like this kind of scarcity will be no more. And Fortune says to him, lose the imperious tone. This is the 21st century. The tribe is run by the council. And Doom goes, I have never required a consensus to validate my actions.
Yeah, Doom is like very much, I'm the leader, a dictator.
Yeah,
for life.
he's just so arrogant, even in the face of allies that he needs.
And he really just doesn't he disregards them pretty often.
Yep, which we'll see later, which is great.
Yeah. There's a quote here that I really, really love that I saved. That she says, this is the 21st century. Nothing's as pure and clean as it once was. And reading this in 2018, I was like, hey, you're totally right.
We're unclean, all of us.
Forever unclean.
So Wire and Xandra try to hack a guardsman terminal, but Wire ends up getting caught. And then he gets saved by this guy who uses holograms to change his
Disguise
face.
himself.
This guy's pretty great because he always just appears behind people in every scene he comes into. It's like, hey, what's up?
Every scene.
Yeah.
And they always try to attack him, and he's like, too slow.
Yeah, his name's Poet. Like, everyone has one syllable, like, short, punchy names. I'm Poet, I'm Zone, I'm Void, I'm Fever.
Honestly, that's one of my favorite parts about this universe. It's like this weird like cyberpunk like 100 years later. Like this is what the future is gonna be like.
Yeah,
that's one reason why I love the 2099 universe, and I'll be in apologist forever, no matter what you guys say. Fuck you all, because
I keep agreeing
We're
with
saying
you.
we
What?
like it.
I'm gonna assume you guys hate it and keep defending it.
He
Fuck
needs
you
to
all.
he needs to have a villain, someone to fight, or else he can't live. So it's just like,
I'm not exactly doing my.
I'm the only one who likes this comic.
I need Red Riches to prove that I'm better than in order to conquer.
or you're like
But-
Doom. You're always looking for an enemy, even when one isn't
Exactly.
there.
But anyway, it's cyberpunk. All the goofies are cyberpunk. People with visors on, hacking into terminals with weird names, and then the superheroes flying in. I'm like, this is what I want in life. This is the future I want.
This is the future liberal swan.
So Doom attacks the plane that has the tritonium on it, which
That's
is
like
that,
the special,
yeah, the rare metal that Tiger
They're like
Wild
it
knows.
blows up, and also then it's still there after.
Yeah,
somehow. I
pretty
don't
cool
know.
metal. And so they fight on the ship, and then the ship crashes, but Doom survives, and he tells like the police that are down there that he's declaring war on Tiger Wild.
It's awesome.
It's such over the top shit. Like like the plane's exploding, and the guard is like, he's gonna explode the tritonium. He's like, we must fight 1v1, fist by fist. And then they like fight. The plane explodes. Somehow the tritonium doesn't explode. And he just walks out of the fire holding it. He's like, eat shit, motherfucker.
Yeah, no one could have survived that.
Yeah, one thing I love about this series, by the way, in general, is that at the end of every chapter is a quote from some kind of literature, like Shakespeare.
Actually,
Henry
I thought-
V, yeah.
I thought it was so interesting. The first 4 issues are all Henry V, and I was like, I was looking for some kind of allegories there. I couldn't really find much, but like,
I think it's just cool. I just think it's a cool way to bring Doom back to his like traditional villain type of roots, his old school
His
type
theatrical
mentality.
roots?
yeah. And since he was a king, not like more than anything else, like he claimed that like he was like a part of a kingdom. Like Henry V's kind of cool, like kind of related.
Yeah, and I
King
think
of England.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of cool. As he does Henry V the first story arc, and he does just other people like
Yeah.
H.P. Lovecraft in the other story. But I think it's just cool because it reminds us that despite all these '90s edgelord shit going on right now, it's still Doom at the center of this.
Yeah.
and, like it brings it back to like a classical mindset. I think.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
Yep,
Actually.
agreed.
So, speaking of that, Doom's master plan, where he manipulates everybody, starts in issue 3, where he wants to use the tritonium as bait for Wild.
I wanna. This is like a super small thing, but it pays off so much later. Is when they go to see Doom, he's inside the plane. He's like phasing through it because he's talking about how he created a phase shifting thing in his armor that allows him to become incorporeal for a few seconds.
Also, Wild really wanted the tritonium because he and Pixel are trying to do some like corporate shit, like corporate takeover.
To-
So, like,
yeah,
we're
to
gonna blow up
sabotage
some other
Alchemax.
company. Yeah.
Who's
So that's
the
why
main
they-
villains of Punisher, which is
Yeah,
nice
so that-
cohesion there.
That's why it's going to be good bait because Wild really wants it.
Yeah. So Doom, while he's doing this, is dumping food crates for the citizens to show that he's a good, noble leader.
No,
the
he
whole
doesn't
time.
do the show. He's good. He just says, "Hey, guess what? Tiger Wild's not giving you food. Doom's gonna be back, bitch." Like he does like Just Cause 3 stuff where you're blowing up your own citizens half the time, but you're like, but I'm showing that the government can't protect you from this because he cuts off the power on his own citizens.
That's
And,
true.
and the
That's
sewage
true.
too, and the sewage.
I couldn't believe that. I'm like, you're a shithead.
Because
like,
he wants the citizens to get so upset this is happening that they rise up when he's the one causing it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty like actually smart saboteur stuff, but like it's not noble at all.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this series as well, is that Doom is not really the hero. It's really Fortune and the other gypsies. It's like more of a ensemble type of story.
Yeah.
You root for the gypsies,
He's
and
the
Doom is like
necessary
this,
evil.
yeah, and Doom is like a tool they're using to get what they want. And
Yeah.
like Doom is doing shitty things, but he's getting Oscar Wilde. I mean Tiger Wilde. I don't know fucking-
So while he's doing this, the coolest character, Wire, is literally surfing the web. So he's downloaded onto the internet because he's like a techno mage or something, and he's surfing around the internet.
He surfs up to a bunch of ones and zeros, like giant ones and zeros.
I mean,
It's awesome.
I miss when this was a thing in
Yeah, me
everything.
too.
Like in all stories somebody would go in the internet and surf around.
And then they
It's
say
pretty
like
rare.
he's coming out of his cyber trance.
It's awesome. So he's trying to get all Wild security codes. And so this is when Doom sabotages the systems like sewage and power, and he holograms everywhere. He's always showing up on TV screens and being
Always.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm saving you. Look at how shitty Wild
Yeah, he
is."
just always says like, "Hey, you don't have power? What a dick, Tiger Wild. Why don't you go fucking riot?"
So then he confronts DeVargas, and this is when he's like, I'm gonna touch you if you don't betray Wild. And he makes the deal, not only will he not give him germs, but he'll also like not use the Tritonium to destroy him. So he turns him to like a double agent.
Not really
And-
double agent. He just wants
Yeah,
Vargas to
remove
stay
the
out
alliance. Yeah,
of it. He
He's
wants to
like,
stay out of
"Nope."
it until he can get rid of Tiger Wild.
Classic alliance break. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta.
And so while that's happening, Wild is confronting Fortune that he knows that
Wait.
she's the one who betrayed him.
Before that happens, this is my favorite exchange in the entire Doom 2099 so far, is that Wild gets mad at his henchman Zone, and he's like, I can't believe, like, how is this happening? How is my city falling? You betrayed me. And then Zone himself says, to what end? I have no interest in the administrative duties of state, and killing me alleviates some frustration. It would not return your Tritonium. And then Wild says, forgive me, Zone. We survived too much together for me to doubt your loyalty. And it's so good, because one of my least favorite like tropes is when the head villain gets so mad he starts killing like his most loyal henchmen, because I'm like, you can't survive in a society like this if when you
Yeah.
get upset you kill the people next to you.
Yeah, no
Whereas
one would ever
here,
work for you.
You have like Zone trying to calm him down, and it's like, man, this is why this guy's second in command.
Zone also has like his part of his forehead is like see through, and there's like stars in there. He's like
Yeah.
he's also like a techno mage or something.
Yeah.
Sorry, techno shaman. Sorry.
So yeah, this is when Wild confronts Fortune that he knows that she's been betraying him, and meanwhile, I don't really understand what's happening here. Doom is with the boy Vox, who's like this tiny boy in a huge
Coat,
a
yeah.
huge suit
And he
that
floats
like
for some
around.
reason.
It's all they can afford in Portland.
No, it's not. No, everyone else can afford cool clothes. It's just him. He's just in a big.
He likes it. Maybe it's his parents.
So
He does,
that's-
also, his name is Vox, but he doesn't talk because Vox
Ooh,
means
haha.
Yeah.
you know.
Speak.
So Doom tries to go on like a vision quest with him to find out what his origin is, but it gets interrupted by Tiger Wild invading Doom's cave.
This is
for the
something
showdown.
actually that continuously happens through the 2099 series, which I kind of enjoy. Is every so often it'll take a break from the main story and it'll start revealing a little more behind every person's backstory, whether it be
Yeah.
like Poet or Fortune
Yeah.
or Doom. It'll take like one page to be like, well, when I was hiking down in the Tibetan mountains, like I lost my brother.
Spoilers.
And the Doom Vision Quest thing this comes in over and over again, because it's always a question of whether this was really Doom or just some crazy guy like.
Which
the one
I also
line
like that idea. It's like, can you take the mantle of this person and become them?
Also, one of my favorite things about Doctor Doom in general is he's got, throughout all of Marvel history, he has Doombots everywhere, which are perfect replicas of him. And they're programmed that they think they're the real Doom unless the real Doom is there. So, like, even the Doombots can't tell if they're fake unless the real Doctor Doom shows up.
Oh yeah, and when he first confronts Tiger Wild isn't even surprised. He's like, "Oh God, another Doombot! Just kill it!" Like he's like, "Oh, another one of
Actually,
these!" Like, it's
a
happening
lot of
over-
people that he encounters are like, we know there's a lot of these Doombots, so like, how do we know this is real Doom? And he's like, I'm pretty sure I'm Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you believe you're you, how do you not
Yeah.
believe it?
It's very Descartes.
I think I am, therefore I am. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think therefore I'm Doom.
yeah. I doomed, therefore I am.
So the big showdown between Wild and Doom. Wild is threatening to kill all of the gypsies in front of Fortune, and Doom shows up and he's like, "No, you say I knew 1v1 me."
Yeah.
Oh, first the gypsies are getting attacked and killed, and they're like, where the hell is Doom?
This
Yeah.
is another thing that I actually found, like, I know I'm harping on like little things that I'm like, this is unbelievable, but like, I know it's because it's in the early 90s and they can't imagine this stuff, but like, the fact that future warfare would still be like landing Marines and stuff when like, we know drones are just used to just launch cruise missiles and stuff, I'm like, I think Wild would just blow this place up.
But it has to be the cool future, and plus Wild is already...
Oh, yeah, you're right, actually.
Is already proven himself to be, like, really headstrong. Like, when he gets mad, he lets out a supersonic yell that breaks all of his windows. So he would be the type of person to march in here, which I like, because Doom says 1v1 me, and then Wild believes it, because he's like, I will.
And not only
that,
but
dumb.
Doom also has all the Tritonium, which he
But
wants
it regenerates.
to get.
It regenerates.
Yeah,
so if you blow
but
up,
if he
then
knocks
who
a whole mountain on it, he's not gonna be able to get it.
And you know what? I have to keep remembering. This is like this is the coolest of all possible futures, not the most realistic. It's the coolest future. Yeah. So
the coolest.
So it doesn't matter what's realistic. Yeah.
Also, Wild tells him my favorite line when Doom tells him to 1v1 me. He says, "You can't hide behind a hologram, Doom. Surrender the Tritonium, or I'll drown you in gypsy blood."
I'll kill all these gypsies just to get you.
Yeah,
and then Doom says, "I don't give a fuck." Yeah. I don't give a shit. And then the gypsies are like, seriously? You don't give a shit about us? He's like, oh, you're showing your emotions? Come on. And he acts like he actually does care. But then later, he blows up the mountain. And he's like, I hope they weren't there.
And like, they had to get out on their own. Otherwise, they would have died. He's such an asshole.
He doesn't care at all.
Which is why I love that the stories about him. Because he's like, he's a person you kind of like love to hate, but also want to see. Like, can't you be better, Doom? Like, can't you stop being like this?
I like the fact that Doom is just irredeemably an asshole, though. Like, that's why I like him.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah. Okay.
So Poet shows up and scares everyone because he's always sneaking around, and he helps Xandra escape with Vox. And this is when we get, like what Darryl said, those little flashes of origin. So, like, Xandra was picked up by the gypsies when she was a young Wakandan orphan, where Black Panther's from, and she's just, like, so loyal to them. And, like, it's just these little, these short 1-page or 2-page origins that just flesh everybody out really well. And Poet...
It's like a Lost flashbacks, kind of. I guess.
Yeah. And Poet has some history with Fortune, but, like, so Fortune doesn't really like Poet. She doesn't trust him, and he saves her, and she's like, oh, this again, but we'll get into that more later. And
this guy right here.
Yeah. So Wild, like, kicks Doom's ass, but Doom...
They're fighting...
Yeah.
I want to share this exchange because this is, again, shows the strength of the writer, where Doom says, conventional weaponry cannot penetrate my adamantium lankside armor. I have not returned to my homeland to be driven away by some mechanized carpetbagger. And Wild goes, carpetbagger, strong words from one who believes he is a decades dead monarch, but I will not contest your delusion. If you choose to live as Doom, die as Doom.
I actually, awesome. It's funny that every time you go to point out a quote, I'm like, what is he going to say? But that one stood out to me, too. Because the fact that they're arguing if he's a carpetbagger or not. Like, this is pretty good.
So Doom, then he reveals that he's primed the Tritonium to explode. And Wild's like, you'll kill us both. And that's when Doom's like, then let this mountain be a tomb, like, a mausoleum for the both of us or something like that.
Hey, fuck us both.
Yeah, and he explodes the cave, and then, just like in issue 2, Doom, really cool, walks away from an explosion. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
He survives it because... Just like they hinted at the very beginning of issue 3, he can phase through matter for a moment of time. So when it explodes, he just phases through the explosion. Which I was like, that's such good payoff for something that's so small.
It's cool too because they hint at that. It's not like he just does it effortlessly. They talk about how it was like agonizingly hard for him to do it,
with
but he doesn't let on.
That belies like the way the pomp he's carrying himself.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool hint too. That he obviously really through force of will survived that, and then comes out like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
and then in the most perfect Doom way, they're like, "Oh, you've saved us," and he's like, "Next tomorrow, the world. I will take over the whole world because this world is on the brink of collapse, and it needs an architect to design a better one." And I'm like, "Yes, Doom."
And that's another interesting thing is he's not wrong. 2099 world is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Doom is an improvement.
Like that's the thing is you like Doom as like the benevolent dictator doesn't really work in the regular Marvel universe. Like it's fascinating story-wise, but like you can't see him taking it over. But in this universe, like yes, please. That sounds awesome.
Like in the regular universe, there are better examples of a government. Like there's
yeah.
But in this world, there's no better government than Doom.
Yeah. So you're like maybe this like megalomaniac is the one that we need.
Better monarchy than like anarcho-corporatism or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so that was the end of the first story arc. Now we enter the second story arc.
And here's where shit gets crazy.
Quite different.
Yeah.
So I have to introduce how this starts. We see this red, like...
Lizard man.
Hand?
Yeah, who's like fading in different ways. and he introduces himself and says, "Cyberspace. Think you're safe here? Don't delude yourself."
And his name is, as long as they're short, his name is Fever. He's a lizard
He says,
man.
"I'm the disease that corrupts
Yeah.
your silicon core. I'm the abomination in your electronic heart. I'm Fever, and I'm coming for you."
I
dude."
love this character. He is basically
So do I.
a hacker so good. He's basically like a computer virus. People don't even treat him like a fucking hacker. He's like, oh my god, it's fucking Fever. Holy shit, he's infecting everything.
And his speech bubbles are different than everyone else's. He only does lowercase typing. No, he does capitals when he wants to yell, but I'm saying like he doesn't capitalize his eyes or anything.
And he's always smugly saying, "Yeah, I got you by the ass, you motherfuckers. You think you're safe here? Fuck you."
He's the type of villain that corners you, and he could kill you, but he doesn't because he likes watching you squirm, which he'll do multiple times throughout this arc.
The ordered assembly of binary code cannot shelter you from my infectious kiss.
And he's also an example of why I love him, and I'm also on Oscar.
I'm also in love with him.
But like, I'm so in love with him. But I was so mad. I keep calling him Oscar Wilde. Tiger Wilde. Was Tiger Wilde? I didn't really, like. Tiger Wilde. I really feel had strong feelings for Tiger Wilde. Fever is such a piece of shit. He's always so smug, saying, "Yeah, you fucking assholes. I got you. I can kill you anytime I want to. I got you by the ass."
He's sly on the internet. That's what he is.
Now it makes sense why you like this.
You want to, just like you want to see me get my ass kicked. You want to see Fever get his ass kicked by Doom. You want Doom to fucking come toe to toe with him, even though you know Doom is not man enough at the moment to go up toe to toe with him.
He needs to improve his hacker skills.
Yeah, he needs to level up his hacking skills.
Yeah, so we find out that Fever is working for Devargius, actually, and Pixel. He has like a hit out on Doom for stealing the tech from Pixel. And what he starts to do is he actually downloads himself through satellites into Doom's armor.
This is before the incident, by the way. The idea of why, like, even Shadowrun and other cyberpunk stuff at the time, they didn't fathom the idea that you could do things wirelessly. Everything was connected to wires. So satellites was like, I guess satellites can do.
I mean, that's kind of what we do use satellites sometimes.
I know, but it may seem roundabout to us in our future world of 2017.
But for them,
Keep in mind, this is the world where the Punisher had to get CDs to learn how to fight.
Exactly.
So he downloads himself into Doom's armor. And what he starts doing is, as Doom's doing things throughout his day, he like locks up his armor while he's flying, and they almost crash. And he makes him start rocketing around and destroying things that he's building. So he's like, something's fucking wrong with my armor. And also we have Poet, the shape changer hologram guy. He meets up with Fortune, and we find out the backstory here, how in the past Poet saved her and her brother
from a dog pack, which are scavengers that like are rapey.
Yeah, basically after Latveria collapsed and Doom left, Latveria became basically New York City in Punch 2009 universe, and all this crazy shit started going after them, and then Poet saved them from living in Punisher world and took them out of Latveria.
Yeah, but what happens is the brother and Poet both had this like wanderlust and like this sense of adventure, and he ended up
wanderlust, like the term, not like they have wandering lust. People don't know.
Yeah, I think people got that. I hope so.
I don't know. Does everyone know that term? Because some people might not.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they wanted to travel the world, and they wanted to go to China, which was like under like quarantine or something. It turns out that Fortune's brother died there, so she always blamed
and in
Poet
an
for that.
avalanche, he couldn't be found.
Yeah, couldn't be found, so he's alive. It's like actually at the beginning, Tiger Wilde dies, and they're like, we couldn't find the body. And I'm like, oh, fucking comics.
Yeah, and spoilers, he's alive at the end of the story. Like,
wow, what a fucking shock. I didn't have to read that. Also, I just have to say, Devargius really, the more I look at him, if you've ever seen those Japanese game shows where the guys put like pantyhose over their faces, he doesn't really get stretched. Yeah, he really looks like his face just got smushed by saran wrap or like pantyhose.
That's basically what he has on, like saran wrap, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah,
actually.
it's pretty good how the artist conveyed that effect. Like that, it's done well.
Yeah,
and he's talking so seriously all the time, but you're like, you're fucking being choked by saran wrap. So we have Wire first goes into Doom's armor, and he's like, "What's going on here?" And then, of course, you see like actual like viral infection, like a Zerg creep or something.
Because when Wire goes in, he's like, "Whoa!" First he gets like kicked out, and he's like, "There's some major virus in there." And he's like, I don't know if I can fight it. And Doom's like, not alone you can. And Wire's like, yes!
Yeah, really. He's like, can't, yeah, awesome.
So they go in with, it's not like them, it's their archetypes, which is basically like their avatars.
It's basically the Matrix.
And if you die in the game, you die in real life.
It
Yeah,
is
it's
all
the
the
Matrix,
cliches.
but-
They call it the Matrix. They call it the Matrix.
But were they cliches yet? This came out 6 years before The Matrix.
Yeah, and also the Matrix was what it was called in Shadow, and I think it was a popular term in
Oh, okay. Because I was like, this is pretty early for them to be calling it that.
Yeah, Matrix is a ripoff of fucking cyberpunk shit. Fuck you, Matrix.
So they both go into Doom's armor, and basically, like, Wire's like surfing around. He's like, yeah, I'm a cyber savant or whatever. And Doom's like, I have to get used to this. It's making me dizzy. This is one of the weird things I found. Like, this whole next story arc takes place in the internet, and it reminded me a lot of. It was like a lot like the Professor X mind battles.
It
like,
is
and stuff
exactly like that. That's
Yeah,
what,
yeah, yeah.
that's what I find cool about it. It's like,
But the thing I didn't like about that is the mind battles I could always understand as like it is sheer force of will could get you to do things. But with the internet, you have to assume that willpower can't do everything. But in Doom's case, it always does.
well, you have to keep in mind it's superhero internet and cyberpunk internet combined. Like, this is the most like comic booky internet you can have.
It's so
That's true.
dumb.
That's why it's so
true.
cool. It's
Awesome.
so dumb. It's just so much.
It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. I'll say
The
that.
fascination that we had in the 90s with the internet being this hologram thing, take it to its maximum level. I cannot hate this. It's
Yeah, I definitely didn't hate it. I was just like,
I know I've said it before, but I sincerely like miss this like wide-eyed Wild West frontier view we had of the internet when we were kids.
Yeah.
Before we were like, oh, it's just like where our like mom posts racist stuff about Hillary Clinton. Or whatever.
Exactly.
See, I didn't enjoy it that much because I really enjoyed the story of Doom trying to take Latveria back and become its ruler, and this felt like a complete sidestep to it where it's like, let's do silly cyber 90s antics where we go and do game sims and try and not get scrambled.
It is a sidestep, but this is what I love about it because this is what this premise played to its fullest. It's Doom in complete 90s.
This
schlock.
is a filler episode.
No, it's not. It is fucking
It's
feverish.
awesome.
Fucking.
I want to
great.
see him rule his government, not learn how to surf.
well, he's gonna do that after he conquers the internet. Okay, he literally wants to conquer the internet. He said
No,
that.
it's not filler because this is also the story is about Doom protecting his government from the Vargas. This is how the Vargas gets taken down.
This is how we can beat Russia, Darryl.
Yeah. All right. So Fever starts warping their cyber terrain or whatever, and dumps them into. Basically, they get dumped in front of the Fantastic Four, and it's really weird. It's like it's clobbering time, and it's the Hulk. And then,
Yeah, it's like an incorrect game sim knockoff thing where the thing is the Hulk and Johnny Storm is Ghost Rider and
yeah,
Sue
you guys
Storm
wrote
is
who they were.
Medusa.
I had no idea who these fucking people were. I was like, I could tell the Hulk,
You know
obviously.
Medusa.
I got Medusa when Sue Storm tried to use her hair to
And
like.
Reed
grab-
Richards just like has glasses and a mullet.
And a
I don't
ponytail.
know.
And
I don't know.
the joke is that like in the future everyone makes game sims for fun, but like no one's ever accurate of them, which
Yep.
which is
Yeah, I
probably
like
pretty
that.
true. Like,
Oh,
They're your
are you telling me
custom
Dynasty Warriors
characters.
isn't accurate? Are you telling me Dynasty Warriors is not accurate?
Yeah.
China.
So these are like custom characters in a Marvel video game. It's like,
Yeah.
what if it was like Reed Richards but like stupid?
and I love because it's a complete recreation of that moment, and Doom is just like embarrassed, like this is so fucking stupid, and he like goes to where he knows the ultimate nullifier, one of the most powerful Fantastic Four weapons is. He goes to it saying, "Okay, you fuckers, I know the ultimate nullifier is. I'm gonna use it if you don't fucking back off." And Fantastic Four are like, "Oh no, how'd you do that? Whoa!" And then like the real Doom shows up, and Doom's like, "Hi, I'm
Not
Doom."
the
and
real
Doom is
Doom.
like,
The Doom in this game shows up.
yeah, the
Yeah.
60s Doom, I should say. The recreation of the 60s Doom shows up, and it's like Doom reacting to seeing his high school photo, and he's just like, and he basically talks about how now that I've captured Fantastic Four, I'm going to send their apartment into space, ha ha. And Wire's like, did you really do that? And Doom is like, it was a different time. I was like,
No, and
younger,
Wire
like-
says, "Is that really you? You should hire a lawyer."
But I just love it's like Doom being confronted with like his embarrassing past when he's a 60s cheesy villain.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
it is pretty
great.
good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So Wire finds the kill switch for this game, turns them off while Doom is like hurling the thing into space, and they start getting out of it. And Doom's like, this virus is not only like sentient, obviously, but also like has really fucked up sense of humor because he knows who I am and is making fun of my past.
Yeah.
We also get a cut to Fortune. She is going to like bring food to people or something, and some guy named Hayes. I don't know. He's another
It's just
one
it's
name
just
guy.
not a generic cyberpunk enemy. He's just,
Also, can I say these names remind me of Streets of Rage as well?
Oh,
Everyone's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
like
I'm
I
Signal.
don't remember. Yeah, Signal. I'm Gale.
Yeah.
He just knocks her out. We have another scene where Poet just is behind someone, and then she's like, pretend you don't notice, and then hiya!
Yeah, and she
then-
says herself, "I'm sick of your surprises,"
Yeah, it was Dan.
Yeah.
Dan
and he
was
says,
like,
"It's a habit I can't seem to break."
Did they reveal before this that Xandra and Wire are in love, or is this the first time
I'm
we
gonna,
see
did
that?
they in love or
No,
just-
they did.
They don't
They did earlier.
explicitly say
Okay.
that ever. They kiss at the end of it. Also, I really like Xandra's character herself because she actually doesn't need help a lot of the time, and she's a strong black woman. Which
Yeah.
I always enjoy when they're in like 90s stuff where you're not trying to like, I don't know, that she looks after Wire, that he's the weaker one in their relationship.
And especially in the 90s, which was pure, like, white male power fantasy.
Yeah.
It's nice to see diversity.
the 2009 universe for the 90s was really pretty diverse. You had this story, which is a story about a bunch of Wakandans and gypsies.
Spider-Man's Hispanic.
Poet and Xandra are both black.
Yeah, so you have this book, which is several black prominent characters. You have Spider-Man 2099, who's Hispanic, and you have Ghost Rider 2099, who's Asian. And like for 90s, this was pretty diverse.
Yeah, and DeVargas
Yeah.
himself is from South America.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I thought that was interesting how much they go to South America. Like those first islands, I think were not. I don't remember. They might have been South America.
I think
they go to Sao Paulo and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's
It's-
something.
it's a lot of-
It's something very faithful to cyberpunk as a genre, because cyberpunk usually has like Chinese people play a major role and stuff like that. Usually, it's about how
Yeah.
other countries basically have their own companies come over and wrestle with American companies and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just kind of neat not to see like an American coming in and being like, "I'll save your entire country,"
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's about Doom trying to take his own Eastern European country back from the hands
Yeah,
of someone like
Yeah.
that.
So,
So-
speaking of all these characters, we're about to meet the greatest character.
This guy comes riding up to them while they're surfing, and like literally as
While Doom
Wire
and
comes,
Wire surfing in the internet.
yeah, well,
Can I read his intro? Because I
yeah, but let me
saved
just say that when Wire comes to a stop with his surfboard, he skids and like cyber
Yeah,
cyber snow
rectangles
flies in
and,
the
like,
air.
pixels.
Like, it's a pretty cool effect.
It's a
though.
cyberpunk is flying in the air, yeah.
it. Okay, everybody. In the cyberverse, there exists a royal court of net gliders, legends of great skill who have cracked the uncrackable, accessed the inaccessible, programmed the unprogrammable. Their names are spoken reverently among gliders. The word, Firelight, Shiva Blue, Broken Haiku, Dot 33. On a program-constructed horse rides the glider court's knight-errant, Duke Stratosphere.
And they all have like these like internet names.
Yeah,
which
and
is kinda cool.
he looked. Duke Stratosphere is a guy on a horse, and he has like
A
sunglasses
purple
on.
trench coat and this long blonde hair and glasses.
Yeah, hippie.
awesome.
It's
And
like
his,
a
his
tie-dye.
horse is called Chaos.
Yes, he has a tie-dye coat on, like hippie glasses, like John Lennon type of sunglasses. Like he looks like a fucking hippie avatar. Of,
Yep.
like,
He's
of
one
nerd.
of the Avalon 5, which I guess is like an online clan.
And like he's like this legendary like cyber freedom fighter guy, and Wire's like, yo man, you're my hero, bro, I love you. And then he's like, yeah guys, follow me, and they follow him for like 5 seconds. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, I betrayed you. Like,
And it's funny because Doom's like, I don't trust this guy, and he's like, you were right to not trust me, like right away.
and Wire's
pages.
like, don't be stupid, Doom, you can trust Duke Stratosphere, he's the best. And Duke Stratosphere's like, no, Doom was right, you can't trust me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so he leads them to Fever, obviously, and Fever again, he's like his weird like lizard face thing. He zaps Wire, and also like we said before, they kind of mentioned like when you, not when you die in the game, you necessarily die in real life, but it's like it's linked to your like
Nervous system.
central nervous system or
It
something.
says like the neural feedback could kill you.
Yeah, something like that. He zaps Wire, and then Doom zaps Fever with disinfectant in his archetype, which is, I
Yeah,
guess,
it's like-
an antivirus or something.
Antivirus. He gets McAfee in his
then-
fucking suit.
Yeah, and so he's like, oh no, I hope Wire's okay. And then Fever shows up again, and he's like, I can remake myself because it's not my real body, you idiot. And he's like,
You've been. He
this
tells
is the-
him
this is
like a novice. You've been thinking in real space, which is
an
reality,
archetype
I
is
guess.
only a small part of a Neuralink program. It can be discarded and reformed before any real damage is done. So sleep the sleep of the dead, Doom. This is the fever dream for which you'll never wake. And then as this is happening, we see in the real world neural activity decreasing, and Wire and Doom start flatlining.
Yep.
And it says like neural activity ceased, and then to be continued.
By the way, this is my
Oh,
favorite.
It's so fucking
This is my
good.
favorite quote of the entire issue we read. It's a quote from H.P. Lovecraft. The sciences will open up such terrifying vistas of reality, and of our frightful position therein, that we shall either go mad or flee from the deadly light. into a new age. Like if we could comprehend the fucking horrors that technology will bring upon us, that if we were smart, we would just run free from them and not touch them at all. And I think that's a cool way. Like you have all this 90s crazy shit, but at the end, Francis Moore just
a
stop
very
and saying,
like prescient warning.
yeah, exactly. I just find that cool.
Yeah.
So now,
Rock and roll.
so Fever and tosses Doom and Wire into like cyberspace limbo. Basically,
Like so far outside of cyberspace that they have to cross the wastelands to get back.
Like,
They're in the dark web.
like kind of like dark web basically. And Doom, meanwhile, Fortune is captured by the Vargas thanks to Hayes. And like this is where she gets covered with the osmotic sealant, and she's like covered in white stuff all over herself because of germs.
What a weird way to say that.
Yeah, that's what
It looks
is.
hilarious. It looks goofy too. It's like,
It does.
It does look goofy. Yeah.
and the Vargas is like, we're going to invade Latveria because it's not filler. It's about how Doom's protecting his fucking country from the Vargas. It's about defense of Latveria. Important story. Fuck you, Darryl. And he's like, we're going to invade Latveria. There's nothing you can do about it. Just join me, Fortune. And you know Doom's an asshole. You don't want him on your side. I'm going to beat Doom right now, so join me. And Fortune's like, no, I trust Doom. He's going to beat you. And Zandra, even though Wire's flatlining, she's like, I'm going to stay with Wire until the end. And meanwhile, Polar goes to investigate what happened to Fortune. He notices that she's gone and goes to investigate her disappearance.
And DeVargas, he also talks to the actual Fever, like the person Fever, or it shows him, and it's just some dude laying down in a chair with like a mask over his face, and it says like how the chair moves his muscles every so often to make sure he doesn't atrophy, and it feeds in like there's an IV drip
Nutrients.
to him so he doesn't ever have to get up, because like in the real world he's nobody, but like online he's the most powerful entity, so why would he ever need to unhook himself?
Yeah, he's basically the forever online guy, and like this is like something that's kind of played out now because we have people in real life all the time everywhere. But,
Us.
but it's cool. It's cool to see like this idea play out in the '90s, early '90s comic.
Yeah.
Doom and Wire can't navigate back to virtual space from being all the way out in the deep web. And now they're out here. They're basically surrounded by junk abandoned programs. Like all this shit has been discarded and forgotten about.
Napster.
Yeah, Napster. Like that. They find Napster.
LimeWire.
Yeah, exactly. And they get attacked by. This is a kind of really goofy one.
This was the
is
jump the
so
shark
weird.
moment for me, where I was like, what's even happening?
I also was like, this is kind of weird.
They could have had this, like they explained like this. Okay, I'll just say what it is. It's a giant
Just say what
cat.
it
A giant like virtual cat attacks them and like picks them up and like tries to kidnap them.
Named Cat Scan.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a cat scan that like it's basically like fucking McAfee virus protection or whatever, but it makes fucking cat puns.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have like your like a giant monster be your like virus thing. That's fine. But when it's like you better turn tail, I'm like get the fuck out of here with this.
And they explained like it's basically like a collects random programs like a tornado. So it's kind of like a natural hazard in this area. But they couldn't.
Why would you make that?
Yeah, just make a natural hazard. Don't make a fucking cat.
Yeah.
Like everything else is so surreal and like out there, but this one is like a fucking cat out of nowhere.
But ironically, though, this is one of my favorite visual parts because when the cat attacks Doom and he gets destroyed, he like turns into pixels and like dissolves, and the art looks really cool.
Yeah, the like weird quasi 3D effects in this series.
Wait, did you say destroyed? I think he gets
He gets
de-res,
de-res.
Yeah.
which is short for de-resolutioned, okay?
Oh, you're right.
I love how many times Doom dies and everyone around him's like, shit, Doom's dead. Like, they're not like, no, not Doom. They're just like, oh, man.
It's pretty close to regular Doom. Doom always like seems to die, and then it's like, oh, this is Doom bot. I'm fine.
This is also when they say he becomes cyber autistic. By the way.
Oh yeah, that's where it happened.
They're like, oh no, cyber autism's not anything to fuck with or something. I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh, no, it's because he's trying to fight this virus, so they're giving him a vaccine, and now he has cyber.
Oh, you're right.
See,
Right.
Francis Moore, he was predicting the future. You get a vaccine. So yeah, they now Doom is de-res, and Wire gets captured by the cat scan, and there he finds Paloma, which is kind of like Google's Siri hybrid, like this massive like search network thing that failed and was abandoned because Google will never work. Pixel basically created it, they abandoned it because they're like, oh, it's never work, and they made it look like a hot chick because of course when we have holograms,
Of course, any AI program is probably going to be a hot woman.
yeah, and like later on they show Spider-Man's AI being fucked up by all this virtual wackiness, and Spider-Man's AI is also a hot chick too. Like, of course, every AI is gonna be a hot chick. Let's keep it real.
I mean, why wouldn't you make
Yeah,
them that
like-
way? If you
Yeah.
could. make them.
So Paloma,
I mean, Siri has like that sexy voice.
No,
It's kinda the same.
I wasn't being sarcastic. Like, I think humans will, if you are going to like anthropomorphize a program, you're gonna make it a hot girl. Like, why wouldn't
so but
you?
here's the funny thing: in Europe or Britain at least, Siri is a man. So is that like implying
Okay,
something
well,
about?
well, British people are weird.
British people love. Are you saying they're gay, Phil? Is that?
No, I'm not saying they're gay. I'm saying that they have different.
It's weird that they
cultural
wount
values.
hot chicks, which I guess take
Shit.
from that.
Oh,
what
you guys
you
fucking
may.
outed me. All right, I'm a homophobe. Whatever. I'm not.
Why don't you just Google to
Too late.
search for Doom on the internet and rebuild him, I guess. And he rebuilds Doom if that's even res. And now that he's like rebuilt, he like Doom merges with Paloma, and now he goes crazy with power because now he has Google at his fingertips and he can search anywhere on the internet and be everywhere on the internet. And he has internet at his fingertips. He's like, oh, the power in my hands.
No, there's a full page spread of him like stretched out across the full page.
Yep.
Crying to the heavens, nothing in cyberspace can stop me now. I am everywhere and everything. I have total access.
Total access.
He's downloading too much data for a human mind to process, which I guess is true if you become merged with Google.
Yeah.
I am the everywhere and the everything.
We're like,
Lord of
everyone's
this
looking
realm.
up so much
God
terrible
in
porn.
this machine.
This was one of those things though where I was like, how like he becomes master of the internet like so quickly without any actual like thing he does besides want it real bad.
Yeah.
He was absorbing it through. It's something in his suit that like was absorbing Paloma.
Okay.
It made no sense. This is why I kind of don't like about this whole arc is you just have to be like along for the ride. You can't be like, I don't understand what this is.
Just like
there's no
it's just like the last
clever,
one testament
like,
shit like that where it's basically just magic. You have to go with it or you don't.
yeah, which
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
always super not into.
Yeah. I could go with this.
And
Yeah,
we should give a shout out to
it.
John from the Discord and Facebook chat. What did he say about Doom here, Ryan?
He said, Doom is that specific megalomaniac that is dissatisfied with having the power of God, but perfectly content with being extremely online.
Because Doom had the power of God in the comics, and he's just like, this is boring.
He even references that. He says like,
Yeah.
this is nothing compared to when I had the power of God on.
So
Damn,
these
fuck
are
that shit.
so these are the things he accesses right away. I am now all-seeing and all-knowing. Nothing remains secret from me.
I would argue the internet's probably stronger than God.
Yeah. In Iceland, the gene patterns of 6 men and 7 women with world-shattering power are held in an intricately guarded database. In Cairo, a plague virus has been developed by the Osiris Corporation to be used against its competitor.
Yeah, he's basically just Googling a bunch of different things.
On a farm outside of Edinburgh, a teacher's mathematical obsessions have produced an equation that is poetry in its abstraction. In Tau, a cult leader named Brimstone programs his followers through neural hooks, providing cyber-simulated revelation and epiphany. And this is only a fraction of the knowledge available to me at the speed of thought.
Like the idea that like I know again this is really early, but like the idea that you'd be doing super secret government stuff and just have it open on the internet and not like our like nuclear weapons are not like on the internet. They cannot be
It's a
hacked.
deep web film. Maybe it's on a deep web.
Yeah.
You never know.
Maybe it is true.
But while he's doing this, while he's teleporting around, he's basically teleporting around all over the world, showing up on random TV screens and trying to people like the Vargas and stuff like that. And like he shows
Yeah,
up in
there's
Times
one person
Square.
that's talking to a hologram, and it just turns into Doom. And he says, "No doors bar my way. All roads rise with me."
She's
And
like,
then
she's like, I'm worried. Yeah, it's some woman who's like, I'm worried about my husband or something. Where have you been?
Her boyfriend is Spider-Man 20.
Yeah, that's Spider-Man. They have
Oh.
this issue's filled with cameos, and this is a cameo from Spider-Man 2009 cast. She basically goes to Spider-Man 2009's hologram, his fiance, and she's like, "Where's Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man?" And she turns into Doom, and Doom's like, "I will destroy you," and she's like, "Oh, that's weird," and she walks out.
She says, I hate answering machines.
Yeah. And then Doom's like, haha, I control everything. He shows up Times
That's
Square.
like, this stuff is so campy, but it's like done. This issue frames it pretty tongue in cheek, where every
Yeah.
cameo is like, this thing's stupid.
Yeah, and like he shows up on Times Square, like over Times Square TVs, and Doom's like, haha, I own everything, internet's over mine, bitches. And Punisher's watching this, like killing people in the streets, and he's like, I hate television, it's so fucking fake.
He says at one point, he's like, this show is distracting these goons long enough for me to bring them to my underground prison while I beat them with my bat that turns into titanium. Like, he really, like, nails the tone of Punisher 2099 here.
Yeah, but
I wish he said, I never turn my setting to low on my bed.
And so he says he gives a guy an intimate Tata Truncheon, which I like. That's a real
you got to use this opportunity to sell people on these books. So people see this and they're like, "Oh, this Punisher guy kills people with his bat." Like this is
He doesn't kill him. He beats them and drags them to prison.
Yeah.
His basement prison. Which if he dies, they die.
Yeah. So then, meanwhile, Poe is trying to save Fortune and the ship, but Doom is like, "Fuck you, Vargas! I'm turning off the ship." And Fortune's like, "No, Doom, we're on the ship." And he's like, "I don't give a
Yeah,
fuck."
he stops
And
the
makes
engines on the ship. He's like, "See ya."
Yeah. He doesn't even
And-
realize like he wants Latveria anymore. He's just like, I'm god of the internet, and that's basically my goal of life.
Yeah, what's fucking not very? I got the internet, bitches. And like, while this is happening, the Vargas is like, I guess, order the fucking invasion of Latveria while this is happening. And Wire is like, talks to Paloma, and Paloma's like, I can't stop him. I have to shut myself down. And Wire's like, no, you're too beautiful, program. I love you, Google.
Alexa, no.
Yeah, he has a real world woman he could hang out with, but he likes staying online with this woman.
You see, another thing this movie preceded her. You see,
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
He says to her, "You're the most amazing program I've ever seen."
So Wire makes a tragic sacrifice, big epic moment where Wire shuts down Paloma, and Doom gets disconnected. Then we have a weird filler issue. This is an actual filler issue where Doom tries to check his origins, and he finds out he's the ancestor of Moriarty, Sherlock Holmes' enemy, and like all.
God, that's such a
It's like
comic book.
So we didn't read this issue.
No, we did. I just want to break it up because it's weird and it has no. It's not by John Francis Moore. I have a feeling it was written just to like fill in the gap while Francis Moore was writing the issues. But what the fuck kind of
That's
story is
just
that?
such a comic book premise.
It is. But yeah, so then back to the actual story. It's weird because it interrupts the flow of the story because what happens is Wire shuts down Doom, and then basically jumps to this issue, this actual issue where Doom is pissed off, like, why you shut me down? And I had the internet, and Wire's like trying to stop Doom from killing him. He's like, Doom, wait, we're trying to save Latveria. He's like, what the fuck is Latveria? I had the internet, like, who gives a fuck? And then Paloma comes back, and now she's like sentient.
Because Doom deleted her like subservient parts or something.
It was a program that unleashed her AI to become like a free general AI.
Yeah, like again, this is all kind of magic and bullshit. Like now he understood true form and shit, all that nonsense. But now she's like, I am God now. Fuck you, Doom, and I will destroy all of you if you fuck with me too much. Because Doom is still like, I want to be inside you, Paloma, and like Doom is still like very antsy to be back to being God. But Paloma's like, no, I am God. Fuck you. So she starts making their bodies start dying in the real world again. But Doom's like, wait, don't kill us. What if like you're stuck in the deep web, but we can connect you back to the real world somehow? Internet magic. So team up with us, and we'll give you the outside internet while we have you for like internet stuff. It'll be cool. It'll be team up. You see, another reason that's not filler. He's gaining more resources from Darryl. You see, he's building up his arsenal.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So then Doom. So Doom hacks the Vargas ship, his actual ship again, and now he's bragging. I got Paloma, and Vargas like, no way, you got Paloma. She was a failure. No one can fix her. Google can never work. And he's like, no, Google works, motherfucker. You have to believe in the future. And now as the ultimate like. Fuck you! Like he takes off his suit and like traps him in a regular prison, and he's completely naked. He's like, "Oh my god, there's germs everywhere! Please kill me! Somebody kill me!" And Doom is like, "No, that'll be too merciful for you."
Well, actually, he becomes the host body for Paloma's archetype, which I can't believe I just said, but that's what happens.
Yeah, no, it's actually kind of interesting. Like his suit becomes what Paloma sees the real world in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happened there? Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the Vargas himself is now like naked in the cell, like begging for death. And this is something that Doom does pretty regularly, from what I read on the Wikipedia. Like people will be like, "Please kill me," and Doom's like, "No, I will let you live just to suffer," and which is pretty cool. Like to have a comic book main character do
Pretty
that.
cool.
It's like, especially in the 90s, a comic book character just be like, I'm just gonna let my villains just suffer and die, not die.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's pretty like interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Doom and Wire get up and like, yeah, we solved the internet, and then we find out. This is when we find out Fortune's brother's alive.
Yeah,
Shock,
the stinger
shock.
at the end. Her brother was alive.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while this was happening, Zanjo was attacked by ninjas. And the ninjas were like, "You're Wakandan. Join up with us because we like Wakandans." And she's like, "Okay, I will." And she goes off to become a ninja.
Something I also thought was pretty telling of the future is when the invasion of Latveria happens, by the Pixel Group. They're using drones to attack, and they talk about how the pilots of the drones can't even tell if they don't even care if it's real life or a war sim.
He's a plug head, and he's so like he's so deep in the system.
It's one of those things that there's actually been studies on, like U.S. military personnel who operate drones are much more desensitized to it because they don't see it as real killing because it's on a screen. And this kind of was getting at that like 20 years before the fact, you know?
Yeah. One other note that's less serious than that, but that I liked a lot in this, is when he builds Castle Doom at the very end, he builds it like in between these two areas, like the old area and the new like corporate place, to like bridge the gap between old Latveria and new Latveria.
Yeah.
And like I just thought that was really cool because he's like this old character that's now like a cyber demon or whatever.
Yeah, and he's the blend of both. So why not build your castle in both to remind them?
Yeah. And that wraps up issues 1 to 10 of Doom 999.
999.
So final thoughts.
It's
Pretty
awesome.
great.
It's amazing.
I actually thought the whole thing was like but it might have just because I had a long week.
Yeah,
like reviewing it, I'm like, this is pretty great.
Yeah, I felt very similar where I was like, I like this, but like I don't like it as much as Sly and Darryl are talking about the parts they like. But then when I was talking about it, I was like, this is awesome.
Oh, one other thing. We were talking about the Shakespeare references. The cover of issue 8 is Fever holding Doom's head.
Yeah.
And it says, "Alas, poor Doom, I slew him well." I forgot. That was great.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, whenever Doom goes into the cyber world, he puts on cyber glasses too. So you see Doom with fucking VR glasses.
Yeah,
as well.
glasses over his already like machine eyes. So
Yeah,
dumb.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
this
I
is
get
great.
why in Punisher 2099 that girl wanted to do these drugs and check into VR forever because it's so cool. You get to surf around and fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
meet Duke.
Oh,
what's his name?
Wire actually says, like, be careful because you don't want to become one of the like forever gliders, people who start surfing the net and never come back.
Yeah,
they
and
they glide forever.
That's one of the great things about, I feel like, this comic series is there was so much kind of like world building where you can really believe
Absolutely.
that this is a really crazy world, but it all kind of works, and you're always interested when people start talking about it. Rather than being like, oh, this is boring, you're like, oh, I guess like this is a thing, like these people being forever plugged in because they never want to leave. And it's like how the Duke said that he's a soul glider. He's not online for corporatism. He does it because he enjoys it.
That's why I love. That's why I love the 2099 universe. Say what you want about this Punisher 2099. If you don't like it or not, whatever. It's always interesting to read. It's always fun to read for me, at least. And it's always like just these different writers just fucking around with different ideas of what a shitty corporate cyberpunk future would look like. I think it's cool.
Also, I think John Francis Moore is such a master of the craft at this point in his career because he's telling this is such a comic book story where it's this crazy world and there's all these crazy concepts, but he's still giving us like a whole plethora of characters to care about and setting up so many plot threads that like I get why this book lasted 50 issues?
Like 40.
Yeah, something like that, because like I could see every single one of these characters getting a story arc and having it like be interesting, because just in this 10 issues we read, there's so many little things that like, oh, like Zandra is like this Wakandan orphan, and like, you know, Fortune has this history with her brother, and Poet, and like all these things. Like he does so much, but it still felt like contained arcs.
Yeah.
Like it's like Darryl said, it's world building, but he's also setting up future threads, I assume. And it's great. Like this is why I love comic books, because it's like.
Did we mention that Fever gets beaten? Did we talk about that?
Oh yeah, Fever got destroyed by Doom. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. It's when Doom's like it's funny because the comic even bypasses it really quickly. So he's appearing at Times Square, and Punisher's like, why should I care about this? This is such like vacuous bullshit. It shows Doom putting Fever into a black hole and being like, you'll never escape from here.
That's one of those things that I was like, this is kind of dumb, because like, how can he beat the best hacker at the internet when he just wants it so bad that he does it?
Listen, but yeah, it is throwaway. That's why I forgot about it. But yeah, it's great that's throwaway, because Doom is so past Fever just by sheer will that it's not even important that he kills him. Like
that's what I was wondering. How would Fever kill Doom, and he can't when he becomes Intergod?
Yeah, he becomes Internet God.
So
good.
What a weird thing.
Yeah.
So, is there anyone that wouldn't read more of this?
I would.
I actually went online to see how much trades cost, and I only found out that they only cover issue like 23 to 39 or something.
Yeah.
Like Warren Ellis's run is the only thing that's been compiled so far.
Yeah, that's not a shame, because John Francis Moore has like stopped.
Yeah, and I really want to read the rest of this, but I want like a physical copy of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, like, I would fucking love to watch Warren Ellis play in this fucking world. You know, the creator of The Authority.
So yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
one day, hopefully, we will visit more of this because, like I said, there's all these different 2099 universe. There's Ravish 2099, who was created by Stan Lee. I hear it's terrible, like straight up terrible. Not like Punisher terrible, like just bad like writing. There is Ghost Rider 2099, which is fucking trippy as hell, like magic mixed with technology type of shit. And you have X-Men 2099, which is like the enemies are like the Church of Pain, and there's like a religious order and shit like that. It gets trippy as fuck. There's no shortage of stuff to talk about in this universe, and I think it's great.
I'm hoping that the revised popularity of Spider-Man 2999 makes Marvel like collect these, because this stuff has been awesome
Yeah.
so far. I've never read any of it.
Cyberpunk's also just a cool.
Yeah, I just Cyberpunk in general is just cool. Be more Cyberpunk.
It's like steampunk became the much more popular one, but cyberpunk's the cooler one.
I agree.
Is steampunk more popular? Because I feel like... Never mind.
yeah.
Let's not get into this. Let's end the podcast.
But yeah, let's hype up. Instead of more 2099, we're gonna segue into something else for our anniversary episode for our next episode.
Is it already our anniversary?
Happy anniversary! We've been married for
2
We're married for
years?
2 years, yeah. But yeah, our anniversary episode is next episode,
Shit.
and we're gonna be doing Ultimates 1 and 2. Oh no, Ultimates
We're
1.
doing-
Ultimates 1. Sorry,
Yeah.
not 2. We're gonna do Ultimates 1. Might be 2-parter.
That's Mark Millar.
Mark Millar.
Ah, shit.
We're gonna be doing maybe good Mark Millar according to popular consensus.
No fucking way. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I can't wait, because I don't remember how much I like Ultimates 1, and maybe I only like 2, which we're not doing, so I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe we'll do 2.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I wonder if at this point I'm just incapable of liking his writing. As soon as I see it, it triggers me. And I just can't.
Yeah.
You see one character saying shit at fuck, and he's like, "Oh, fuck this fucking."
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
fuck
I
with-
read
okay.
Red Sun a while ago, and I couldn't, like, I saw the Millar in the writing, and it was like,
Yeah.
it was kind of getting to me, where I'm like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
Like, everything else is the editor trying to calm him down, but he was allowed to write Lex Luthor in his own voice.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so everyone get hyped for that. I want to give a quick plug to the Comrade Radio Network. Falling in Love Montage just released an episode on 50 Shades Darker,
Ooh.
which is they are actually recording it right now as we record this one. So I don't know how terrible the movie is, but probably very
pretty bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I can't
I've
imagine.
seen it,
And-
unfortunately.
and
Thanks to Darryl.
and that features Megan Griffin from Judging Book Covers podcast, which I was just on.
Meg Griffin from Family Guy.
And she
God
made a
damn.
Facebook post about that yesterday. How, hey, it's 2018. Maybe people should stop making this fucking joke.
2099 and 2099 becomes cool again.
Slide's living in 2099.
So, yeah, I was just on her podcast with our super fan Tracy talking about a book about spies called Restless that I didn't like at all and has a lot of women shitting in the woods. So you should listen to that. It was a really fun episode. And I will be on her next episode as well, talking about the comic book Local by Brian Wood and Ryan Kelly. And it is nothing like 2099. It's like a slice of life vignette about a girl's life as she moves across the country. And so everyone should check those out. And you should also join our Facebook group, Oops, I Talked Divisive Issues, and our Discord, where one of us, usually before an episode, posts some pictures and like kind of does like a let's read a little bit of just like some commentary. And so far it's been really, really fun watching which one of us has the most feelings about the book and decides to go into the Discord.
We should mention it's usually the Friday before our Wednesday episode. So if you want to watch
Yes,
along,
yes.
check out that.
Yeah. So all those links are in the show notes, so everyone should check those out.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening to Divisive Issues. I've been Oscar Wilde.
I have total access.
I've been the disease that corrupts your silicon core.
And I've been buried under gypsy blood.
Stay in continuity.